So we will go ahead and start with some opening statements. Coach Robo from James Madison, tell us about your week, and
Sure.
you know it's been crazy and fun, and go ahead and
On behalf of President Alger, our athletic director Jeff Bourne, the entire JMU community, thank you to everybody in the Armed Forces Bowl. You guys have really set the bar high for our first bowl experience and for future bowl sites. They're going to be competing against your standard that you guys have set. We're excited for the culmination of the 2023 season. It's been an awesome journey. It's been a fascinating journey, and we can't wait to put the pads on tomorrow one more time and get after it. Go Dukes.
Coach Calhoun, you've been here before.
You know, every year I'm amazed at the organization and the ingenuity of what Brant Ringler and the people of the Armed Forces, just what they put together. The new experiences for our players, the insights that are provided for those who have served and are currently serving, how invaluable that is for our guys in terms of their education and the awareness of what they're going to do in the future. And certainly playing a tremendous football game against an outstanding opponent in James Madison. And our guys are fired up for the opportunity.
Sounds good. And we will pass the mic. If you have a question, just say who you're with and who you're asking question to.
Yeah, Brent Brigman with the Colorado Springs Gazette. Coach Calhoun, I'll start with you. What is the status availability-wise of some of the players who have missed time over the past 2 weeks, specifically Zach Larrier, Jerome Gaillard, Emmanuel Michel?
Yeah, each was able to practice each day since we've been here, so I think they ought to be able to roll.
How do you think that's going to change, you know, the team you're able to put on the field with those guys available?
I don't know. I mean, certainly, I think, you know, if those guys are out there, then obviously you felt like they had a good week of work. You feel like that'll enhance the execution and some of the opportunities to make, you know, to generate some plays that are absolutely helpful.
And over the past few weeks, Trey Taylor's received a number of accolades that are pretty rare for Air Force players. What has that been like to you, you know, to see all of that happen?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, Trey, just the amount of work that he puts in, how committed he is, the heart and the soul and the spirit that he has, and a real credit to his family, too. I mean, you have a father that's that dedicated to all of his kids. He does it not only within the home, but in the community, and same thing with his mom. So it's absolutely wonderful.
Brian Estridger with Bowl Season Radio. And Coach Robo, I'll start with you, and then Coach Calhoun, I'll have you answered as well. I mean, this feels like you got the nation's best rush defense versus one of the nation's best rushing attacks, obviously. You talked about, though, how you had to prepare for facing this triple option. Walk us through that process, and how do you combat this? I mean, this will be the best one you've seen all year, probably.
No question. I mean, when you hear that alone, one of the best rushing offenses versus one of the best rushing defenses, if you're a fan of football, that makes you smile. That makes you excited. May even give you goosebumps like me because I'm a line coach. And so to understand that, really it all started out with how are we going to simulate it? That was the first question that went through my mind. And so we began that process of trying to figure out how we're best going to give them an opportunity to see what they're going to have to deal with. And then, you know, we brought in some people because of the low staffing that allowed us to have a plan in place. And then, listen, it's a run and hit game. So that needs to exist in all phases of what you're doing. You just got to get the eyes used to what they're seeing.
Hey, Coach Calhoun, from your perspective, what have you seen out of James Madison's defense that made them so good this year against the run?
Yeah, Brian, I mean, just how stout they are, really on both sides of the ball. I mean, just how well they play blocks, how well they disengage, and the number of plays that they generate that are behind the line of scrimmage. You know, everybody talks all the time, are we on schedule, off schedule? And they do a tremendous job that way.
Question?
David Teal with the Richmond Times-Dispatch in Virginia. For both you guys, how beneficial, if at all, was it to have the Utah State common opponent tape to look at as you evaluated one another?
I think anytime there's a common opponent, at least you're going to get an understanding of the physical stature of people because you stood in front of these other people before. So that's what you're really looking for. Like, what are the commonalities? Like, how big is this guy actually, right? When you look at rosters, a lot of those things are a little inflated at times. You know what I mean? I was 6'2". Let me tell you something now. I'm not 6'2". Okay. And so you understand that part of it. So anytime you can get a good comparison of what they are from a stature perspective, that's a great reference point to start.
You know, I think the one thing that really stood out for our guys, we obviously face Utah State's most seasons, or at least we have, I think every year, at least the last 10 years or so. And so kind of to allude what Coach said, you know, you realize the size, the movement, the physicality, and for them to be able to go win in Logan against a bowl team in Utah State, I mean, just, boy, you're captivated.
Look at Air Force's depth chart. Every starter is a senior or a junior. Do they look old? Do they play old?
100%. You can see a seasoned team, the fundamental details of how they play on both sides of the ball, their blocking, whether it's perimeter or frontal people, the way they ball handle is so smooth and effortless. They do a great job of just teaching from the ground up, and you can see that, right? I mean, you know, these guys, as they play more and more, you can't teach experience. And so you can see it. When you know it, you see it. There's no question.
Jackson Hepner from The Breeze, JMU student paper. I had a question for you, Coach Calhoun. There's been a lot of talk in Harrisonburg about the triple option. You know, it's kind of a new concept for a lot of, you know, the personnel at JMU. Talk a little bit about, you know, why do the military academies keep using the triple option, and what kind of makes it, you know, special and unique to them?
Well, you hit the right word is unique. Clearly, you have to do something a little bit different. You look at how small that you have in terms of the number of guys that you can recruit. We're still test mandatory, whether it's a 25 ACT, 1250 SAT, the willingness to raise your right hand and take an oath to go fight for the Constitution of our country, and those guys are hard to find. And then the other part is you don't have fifth-year guys. I mean, you're trying to get in the midst of battles with guys that are in their third or fourth year of playing college football. There's no incoming guys as far as the transfer portal, and you know, I've likened it frequently that if everybody else was under center and in the I formation, we'd be in the shotgun. And really, you go back and you look at the history of the academy, and 55 years ago, that's what Ben Martin did. We threw the ball all over the lot just because nobody else at that time was throwing it. So I think we have to do something a little bit different that way.
And, you know, this is your second year in a row in the Armed Forces Bowl. What does it just kind of mean to you and your guys to be able to go to a bowl like this that really kind of has that appreciation for the armed forces and what they do for our country?
You know, it does. There are two things there. One, like I said earlier, I mean, the Armed Forces Bowl is unbelievable. I mean, just the soul and the essence of what our guys are committed to do following graduation, that's already in our bloodstream and in our bones, you know, that way. And probably the other part is you realize the sheer difficulty being at an academy to even play in a bowl. You know, I mean, you can get to 6 wins and you can get to a bowl game. That's a huge, huge achievement.
Thank you.
Kaden Bridges, also from JMU's student newspaper, The Breeze. Obviously, JMU had a pretty historic season just leading up to this. Did you pay much attention to that before it was announced that Air Force would be playing JMU in the bowl?
You know, I absolutely did. I'm a voter with the coaches poll, and it didn't take too long. You realize, you know what, these guys have to jump in the mix. And then certainly as we really, really dove into the extensive study in terms of the game preparation, they're physical, they're fast, they're extremely old, they're skilled, tremendous football team.
Chris Mikoski, Bowl Season Radio. Coach Robo, I listened to some interviews early in your bowl practice talking about how thankful you were to all the people who came on to join your staff during this period in time. Going over the past few weeks with them, with you every day, just what have been some of your maybe lifelong memories that you're going to gain from this time with those men?
The stories, the conversation, the calming, they're all veteran guys that I've known a long time. I trust these people. And part of the reason why I brought them in was, listen, if I'm messing up, you got to let me know. And I love all these people that are with us. And so to have that experience day in and day out, to go back through the meeting room, the practice planning, be on the practice field, travel together, the journey of every second that's gone on and the stories has really been something that'll last forever. It really is. You can't take a picture of the experience. You're going to try. We're trying, but you really can't, put it into like how grateful I am for these people to leave their families at the holidays, leave their jobs and all that others and all the other things that they had to do to come be here. It has been really special. And it'll probably take time after this game for me to really let it sink in, because every second of the day has been pretty busy, but and consuming. And so to have those people there that I can rely on day in and day out for whatever needs to be done, regardless of what kind of hat it is, has been very comforting.
Coach Roble, as you've looked at Air Force, especially first half of the season with a healthy Zach Larry at quarterback, I guess how different are they with him in the game at full strength, versus maybe the last 5 or 6 games?
The diversity of that young man's skill set is what allows them to be more diverse. And at the end of the day, no matter what offense you're playing, you got to, or whatever you're coaching for that matter, you want to play to that player's strengths. And so you're gonna focus on the people more. So you can see that their diversity expands greatly when he's in the game, and the amount of things that they can do, whether it's his legs, his arm, his mental game. You can really see the precision and the time that young man puts in.
Are you operating under the assumption he'll be in and at full strength?
Everybody's there until not. Why would you do anything different?
Anybody else? He's in the back. Got one more.
How's it going? I'm Alejandro Contreras, UTA Radio Sports. So my question to both of you would be, how did you prepare your players mentally for this long week of events and as well as the Armed Forces Bowl?
Go ahead, Coach. All right. Are you working on long distance running or sprinting? And so that's really a simplistic way to look at it, but you want a natural, gradual crescendo so that when you get to the game, you're physically, you're emotionally, and you're spiritually ready to let's go, to put it on the line. And having that understanding of just staying calm, thinking clearly, is a valuable thing. I think our football team has done that in pressure situations. And so when you're in the season and you get natural ebbs and flows, right, it's a 7-day cycle, right? You play every Saturday. Sometimes there's a short week. But everything about you needs to be ready for that game. And so you get into that rhythm where you're emotionally peaking, you're physically peaking on that Saturday. Well, Sunday you need to be calm and come back down to analyze and reassess what went down and what you got to do next. And so this has been a gradual climb rather than a quicker, steeper hill to run up per se.
I think the ultimate aim is when the ball's kicked off is how well prepared is your squad. And there's a lot that goes into it. Certainly the physicality part of it you got to have. You haven't played a game in 4 weeks. Neither team has. So there has to be a little more crunch maybe in a bowl week than maybe what there is, in mid-October. I think the other part of it is the conditioning factor. And so what we did, we took a full practice week. We had our guys fly in here. They went home after their finals last Thursday afternoon and flew them in here Monday morning, and we went at it pretty good. I think you have to anytime you're getting ready to play a bowl game, and certainly for who you're going to encounter, a top 25 football program, a team that's already won 11 games. Maybe there's even a little more to it because of it.